I think it's very important to let the truth get out and get the facts on the table. That photograph that circulated, a factless photograph, really created the presumption of guilt because of the story that got falsely attached to it. And that story was that my campaign was accepting support, contributions of some sort from the Kremlin, which is absolutely false, and the myth that there was even a conversation at that table. In fact, there was no translator at the table. Putin came in briefly with an entourage that I thought was his bodyguards. Turns out they were actually his inner circle. No one was introduced to anyone. No communication between the Russian speakers and the English speakers. I spent the evening speaking with a German diplomat to my right. Most of the foreign political people were seated at that head table, really just as a formality. The substance of that event took place during the day. This was a conference on media and international relations. I was there to promote my peace agenda, which was front and center during the campaign, not only the agenda for a weapons embargo to the Middle East, as well as a ceasefire, real substantive action on climate change. We were calling for a Green New Deal and phasing out fossil fuels by 2030, and nuclear weapons abolition. Those were my three issues, which I talked about at length during the day. The video of my remarks is up on the website. We have been completely transparent and forthcoming and operating with complete integrity. I don't accept money from foreign governments, from Russian oligarchs, or even from American oligarchs, for that matter. My campaign and the Green Party has extremely high standards of integrity, and we have been operating transparently from the get-go when we raised money from our donors in order to go, not just to Russia, but also to the Paris Climate Accords.
Do you regret the decision to attend this conference?
Well, there certainly has been a lot of flack about it. Yeah. But, you know, it's funny because there wasn't at the time, and we were completely open about it. And Russia was not the controversy back in 2015 that it is now. So there's a little bit of a retrospectoscope.
Right, knowing what you know now, exactly. And that's really what I'm asking you here. Now that you know what you do know, would you have not attended based on the complexity? You see the picture, you can completely understand what many critics might say. Look at the folks sitting at the table. Now that we understand the questions around the Russia connection question, that would you still go knowing all of this?
You know, knowing what was known at the time, absolutely, because remember this,
Oh, no, today,
Richard.
I'm sorry, Jill. Knowing what you know today, would you go? Yeah.
Well, today it's a very different scenario, and it would be walking into a real you know, can of worms. So that would be a whole different calculus. I would have to sit down and think hard about that. But you know,
wouldn't say no
time,
based on these questions.
You know, I don't want to answer that without having thought about it. But let me say, I think it's really important. We need to talk to not only our allies, but our adversaries and everyone in between. At the time, you know, we were involved in the conflict in Syria, as was Russia. And one of the candidates, Hillary Clinton in particular, was talking about a no-fly zone, which would have meant shooting down Russian planes. We have 2,000 nuclear weapons on hair trigger alert between the two of us. We need to resume that conversation.
That was your platform, and you and I have actually talked about those very topics in the many conversations we've had both in person and on this network. What is being asked of you from the Intel Committee, of the House Committee, as they are looking into this question? Have they asked for specific documents?
They've asked really for a broad swath of documents, anything we have pertaining to this question of Russian interference. And we have been transparent. Most of our documents are already out there in the public domain, up on our website. We put them out as press releases and so on. And in addition, we'll be searching for relevant material, especially our communications with RT, which are going to be extremely boring and administrative. Like, what time are you showing up for an interview?
Have you undertaken, have you pushed forward your own internal investigation to look into, for instance, there are the ads, the Facebook ads that now, according to Facebook, we have some information on that at least one was potentially supporting you and your campaign. And, you know, the follow-on data point here is that you had more votes in two very key swing states, more votes in the margin of victory of Donald Trump in Wisconsin, as well as Michigan. And so you put those two together, you can understand the line of questioning. Have you decided to look internally, I guess, based on all that information?
You know, absolutely. And I think it's really important to look at this question of what were the Facebook ads. Remember, there were thousands of ads. Among thousands of ads, all of one has been identified. And, you know, about did our votes matter? You know, remember, the votes didn't belong to Hillary Clinton or to Donald Trump. They had to be earned, and a lot wasn't done to earn those votes. Also, look at the facts, the data. The exit polls show that people who voted Green largely would not have come out to vote if they didn't have my candidacy to vote for. So you can't just move Green votes into the Democratic column. That's a very presumptuous thing to say. You know, same holds true for Gary Johnson's votes, many of which would have gone to Hillary Clinton as well. So I think there's a little bit of targeting going on here, you know, in part because it was very embarrassing to the Democratic Party once the DNC emails were revealed showing that there was sabotage going on. You know, when you talk about interference in campaigns, I think it's important to look at domestic interference as well. And that includes the interference by political operatives, like to sabotage Sanders and to elevate Donald Trump, which was going on systematically from the DNC as well as from big media. If I can just say real quickly, you know, Les Moonves from
Jill, I want to get
NBC.
I want to get to this though, because I want to know
$6 billion. If I can just say $6 billion spent to elevate Donald Trump really matters compared to one Facebook ad. Are
you going to run in 2020? And based on running in 2020, how are you thinking about what this may mean to your candidacy? And I'm only 30 seconds, and I apologize, Jill, but I wanted you to finish with that.
Yeah, so, you know, I'm a mother on fire. I'm a social activist long before I'm a political animal. So I will be doing this work. I don't know what form that will take or whether I will even be running for office at all. But I think for those who are concerned about splitting the vote, this is the time to pass ranked choice voting, which gets rid of the spoiler effect and ensures that you can vote for the candidate you want. And if your first choice loses, your vote is automatically reassigned to your second choice. That's how to deal with the spoiler effect, not by suppressing opposition voices and make us like one of the totalitarian states that we complain about, like the authoritarian Russian state.